So just welcome everybody. My name is Scott Nesbitt. I'm a training specialist here at Ring Central University. And today's class is User Basics for Ring Central. And you might ask, what is Ring Central? It is your new phone system. And this phone system is cloud-based. So what that means is when you're connected to the internet, you can make and receive business phone calls using this application or your desk phone. So with that, you're in a meeting, you're in a Ring Central meeting right now, and at the bottom you can communicate with chat, which you've already done, Don, and then you can also go to full screen mode, which is so that you can see everything that I'm going to be presenting today. We have plenty of resources for after this class is done to get some online help, and that's at our support.ringcentral.com training/MVP. I'm going to go ahead and place that link into our chat here real quick. I'm just going to copy it and paste it in. And just for your notice, Dana and Don, I will be sending the links that I put into our chat in an email, in the follow-up email.
Very good.
This is how we get to our support site. At the end of the session, I'll show you how there's a bunch of vignette videos, like there's small little videos to help people reinforce, like, hey, I forgot how to transfer a call. I want to learn that. It's like a 1 to 2 minute video that they can watch. So it's really great. All right, so our topics today, we've got a full boilerplate online. So we're going to talk about activating your Ring Central account. That's going to be the first thing. And then we're going to talk about the physical desk phone that you all use, which is that Yealink T46U. So we'll pop over to desk phones. I'll give you also a quick guide. I'll drop that in the chat. It's a PDF file for anyone that's going to use that phone, and I'll show you where to get others. So you mentioned you have a 33, and if you have any other desk phones, I'll show you how to get those from our support site. And then we're going to go into the phone app on the main MVP application, and then we'll talk about video and messaging as well, because those can be used within the app as well. And we'll talk about those. And then the most common settings in the app. So like setting your voicemail up, setting how long your phone rings, that sort of thing. I'm going to talk about those before we wrap up today's session. And of course, at any time, if you have a question, feel free to drop it into our chat or just come off mute and ask me right away.
Great, thank you.
Yep. So I'm going to pop into how do you activate your Ring Central extension. So your administrators, which is the people in the room, will be sending an email out to all of the staff within the district. And what that email is going to come from is support@ringcentral.com. And what the email is going to look like is what I have up on the screen. So the main thing that these people who are going to activate their accounts are going to do is click this big blue button. Now, this email is good for 48 hours. If for some reason someone's on a leave or it happens to be the weekend when they get the email, you can resend it, and they'll just have to contact your help desk or put a ticket in and let you know to send them a new email. And you'll cover that in the admin class, Don, just so you know that.
So this would be called the activation
email. Exactly. So, and you can send that out to users as many times as you need to in case something keeps going wrong where they can't actually activate within the 48 hours. So this is the screen they'll get to, and they'll enter a new password. Are you all using single sign-on or with your network passwords, or are you going to have a separate password here? Do you know?
There hasn't been a whole lot of talk about it. I think our plan was to use single sign-on.
Okay. So in the event you aren't using it, your users will have to create a password. If you have it enabled by the time you go live, then this will be disappeared. Here, you won't see this section. So again, if you're using single sign-on, you won't see this. But if you aren't, then they will have to create a password. The PIN number is solely for checking your voicemail on a physical desk phone. So that's what the creating a PIN is about. And if you use the app, like online, you don't have to enter a PIN. So just so you know, the PIN is required checking your voicemail on a physical desk phone. And then, of course, the security answer question and answer. And then lastly, to activate your account, you need to put in a registered location for E911. So this would primarily be the school's main address or the address to the school that the staff are working at. Now, you can
Scott,
enter these locations ahead of time in the admin tool so that your users can actually pick from a list, so that you don't get mistyping of addresses in here. And this is only if they call 911 from a Ring Central phone. Most people usually pick their cell phones up nowadays and they dial 911. So in that event, they're triangulated on the cell phone, but with IP telephony, they're not triangulated. So that's why you have to have an address on file of your primary location.
Right. So the new law, of course, requires that we have not just the school address location, but also the actual room or building number that the staff are in.
Yes.
Will this be pre-selected with the proper room number on there as well, or do they really just have to select from along?
Well, so you can populate that ahead of time in the admin tool if you have that data already. But otherwise, the system doesn't know, what school they're in. So then they would have to enter their room number in at that point. And your project manager at Ring Central will be able to guide you through that as well, to give you guidance on how to pre-populate that in your admin tool. Good question.
Okay, thank you.
And that activates them, and that's where their account becomes active, and then they can go into that MVP application that we're going to be talking about in just a bit. So the application looks like this. It's the blue R with that orange square wrapped around it. That's our unified application. Are you going to be using a mobile phone, maybe for your IT folks, or different?
Yeah, we want to be able to flip calls from a desk phone to a mobile phone.
Yeah, and so the mobile app is the same icon. You get it on your respective app store. It's free, and you use your same credentials to get into it on your cell phone. So once you know how to use the desktop version of the app, you will know how to use the app on the phone because they're identical. The dialer, everything is identical. So we recommend you having a good quality headset. If the primary, if you're going to be talking on your laptop, you want to have a headset or earbuds or AirPods or something where you can be talking with a good quality mic instead of just talking into your computer and disruption and all the obvious things that there could go wrong.
And those mics, those headsets come with each of the physical phone devices, right?
I believe so, yeah. And so you want to if you're talking on the physical desk phone itself, it's going to obviously come to the handset, but then the headset itself is something that you would need to configure and plug in.
I'm just taking a quick look.
Sure.
Just to confirm. Yeah, they do. Let's see.
But if someone's working at home, say hybrid work, like they're working at home for a couple hours during the day, then they would be taking calls on their mobile device or their laptop device.
Okay.
And
yeah,
that's
it looks like the U46 don't, but the T33s do.
So let's dive into that Yealink phone that you have, the T46U.
Yep.
So this is the T46U we have up on the screen. And again, if most people have ever used a business phone, there's not a whole lot to show you here other than this display at the very top of the screen is pretty unique to this phone. So it's got a little LED indicator for voicemail, and it's got 10 line keys. And what a line key means is that you have 2 lines for every Ring Central account. So Don, you have 2 lines. The very first 2 buttons are going to be your account. And then you can have up to 8 different people in these line keys, which would be your additional users. Maybe you monitor different phones throughout the day, like you're one of the administration people that you need to be able to, pick up other people's lines, that sort of thing. You're going to see the presence on the top screen. Then going down the phone, we have these physical headset button that will activate the ringtone in your ear. The mute obviously mutes everything. You have a dedicated voicemail button right here. So we call these hard keys. They're hardware keys built into the phone, as opposed to soft keys, which are software keys, where you have a different label above each button depending on what state you're in on the phone. Like if you're in during a call, the buttons will be displayed differently up here at the top. And then finishing going down, we have the transfer button, we have a redial button, speaker button, volume button, and then the center console, which is how you select menu items that show up on the top screen. So you can go up, down, left, right, and then the OK button is like your enter button for the phone. So that's
Pardon me, I just pulled up those phones just to confirm whether the headset was included, and it is not.
okay.
So that would be a separate thing that users might want to pick up. But
yeah, and the ones that people that call and are using their desk phones all day long and constantly on phones, you'll want a headset for those. But if they're calling on their computer, the experience is going to be better with a headset, and those can be any kind of headset nowadays, right? Anything that's Bluetooth. You might already have a pair of AirPods that you can connect to your computer. Those are really great. But it's just when you have like the volume coming out of your laptop and you got a room full of people, you don't want them to hear, what your laptop's saying. So it's good to have the headphones.
it's good to reduce noise.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and to concentrate. So again, real simple buttons, right? Go into voicemail. Again, that's where you're going to need that PIN that you use to create your account. As soon as you press the voicemail message button here on the phone, it's going to prompt you to enter your PIN. To place and answer calls, this should go without saying. You can pick up the handset. You can hit the headset if you've got a headset plugged in, or hit the speakerphone button, and that gives you dial tone. Active call controls, these are the soft keys I was talking about, where when you're in a call, you're going to see the labels right above these keys to tell you what they do. So when you press this button, it's going to transfer to somebody. Hold, conference, and end call. So pretty self-explanatory. The labels change when you're doing different things. A call transfer, there's 3 different ways to transfer a caller to somebody. So we have warm, blind, and transfer to voicemail. And we're going to talk about each one of these. Warm transfer is probably the most popular option. This allows you to introduce the caller that's called you, so that when you transfer it to someone else, you can introduce that person and say, hey, I've got so-and-so on the line. They've got an issue with their student and blah, 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 blah. And you can give them the whole story before you actually transfer the call. So this is that warm transfer. And the way we do it is you can use either button, either the soft button or the hard button that says transfer. You press it, dial the extension, and then once that party answers, and you explain your issue, then you can push transfer again, and then that connects the caller over to the person. But essentially, you're not hitting transfer the second time until you've introduced the caller. So, hey, Bob, I've got Mary on the line. Her student did XYZ, and now I'm going to transfer you. Boom, and you hit transfer, and the caller comes over. The blind transfer is when somebody typically requests, hey, can you just patch me through to this person? I was talking to them earlier, and they told me just to transfer it to them. So you hit transfer, you dial the extension, and you immediately hit transfer again, because you're not doing a warm introduction. You're just transferring immediately at that point, and it gets the caller over. And the third option is this to voicemail. So typically the caller will say, hey, I just spoke to XYZ teacher, and they asked if I could just leave them a voicemail if they were busy. And so then you would say, oh, okay, let me transfer you to their voicemail. So you hit transfer, and then the difference here is you hit *0 and then the extension, and then transfer again, and that goes directly to their voicemail. So it's just adding the *0 into the mix.
And is it you hit the transfer button twice still? So you
hit it initially, then *0 extension, and then transfer the last time, and then that goes right to their voicemail.
Great.
So in all 3 options, you're hitting transfer 2 times. It's just in the very first one, you're waiting till the caller picks up to introduce them, and then you hit transfer.
Great, thank you.
Yep, and then to conference call, which is to bring another person onto the line. You simply, we're in a call, then I hit conference, I dial my extension of the other party. When they answer, I hit conference again, and now all 3 of us are connected. So again, conference is pretty basic. Just allows you to bring another call onto the line in an ad hoc moment, like on the fly. So that's it for this phone, but I'm going to show you a resource real quick. So I'm going to go to a web browser. Let's bring a browser over to this window. And I'm going to go to our support site. I go to support.ringcentral.com. Right at the top of the screen, there's a training link. So I'm going to click training, and I'll put this link in the chat, and I'll also send it in the follow-up. And then there's a getting started button. And this is where all those videos are, but there's like short little videos of all the different things that we're going to cover today. I'm going to go to desk phones specifically, and there's a Yay link option here. So we have these little quick guides for all these different phones in here. So we don't have one for the actually, here's the T46U. The 33 is the other phone you had, right? I'm going to just see.
Right, that's correct. The T33G.
Yeah, I don't see that link in this list.
It's there.
Oh, it is. Oh, right here. I'm sorry. It's right in front of my face. Yep. So let's go to the 46U. I'll grab this URL. I'll paste it in the chat. And then while I'm at it, I just want to show you here. See below in this guide, it has all the quick features that you would most likely do, like transferring a call, parking a call, retrieving a held call, so forth. So if we go back to that list, here's the 33G. I'll include this one in your follow-up email as well, but I'll paste it here in the chat. So that's a direct link to get to that phone as well. So that's the physical desk phone. So let's move back to our presentation, and let's talk about dive into some actual hands-on. So we're going to talk about the phone itself. So the dialer, how do we actually make and receive phone calls using the dial pad within the application itself? And I'll give you a quick tour. But again, it's to make and receive business phone calls. That's what the app is for. And it's also quick access to your voicemail so that you can actually read your voicemail instead of having to listen to your voicemail. And I'll give a demo of that as well. And of course, we have faxing and texting capabilities because your phone number is a smart number. It has the ability to SMS text a parent or fax, a parent or say a health clinic or something like that. So you have the ability to fax and text. When you get a call into the RingCentral application and you're already on a call, it behaves very similar to your cell phone, right? So if I'm on a call right now and another call comes in, I get the option to end my current call and answer the new one. I can send the new caller to voicemail, or I can put the caller on hold and answer the new call. There's a button at the top of our screen that enables you to handle those multiple calls. And when you click it, you get this secondary screen where you can actually put callers on hold and take them off hold. And you can click the ellipsis over here to actually merge calls together. But I'm going to show you a live demo of how we actually merge calls. But you can have up to 9 callers at a time concurrently in the RingCentral application. Not typical day-to-day life, but usually 1 or 2 calls is all I can handle. But you do have the ability to handle up to 9. If you have call queues set up, Don or Dana, your callers, whoever answers those calls. So a call queue is like if someone dialed the main number of the district and they press 2 to get to food services. When the food services phone rings, right in the center of the screen, it'll say food services or the name of the queue the caller dialed in on. And that way they're going to know, hey, the call's coming from a queue as opposed to a parent, say, direct dialing them. So that's how they can distinguish between a call coming in off a queue or a direct dial call to them.
Yeah, so we have we have call handlers, and we have some of those going to groups of people.
Sure.
So I guess in the old system, it didn't matter how we named them and how user friendly they were. So we may want to double think how we are naming some of those call queues.
I think so. From the employee's perspective, when I answer that call, it's always great to know, like central on the screen, who it's coming from. And if it's a queue call, they can immediately tell just by the name of it right here. Yeah. There is a head-up display, which is great, and this lets you add 100 internal users to a list so you can see their presence. And what's nice about it is that if I'm someone who frequently transfers calls to other people, say I'm like the main reception person for a school, and all throughout the day I'm transferring to other people, I can put the top people in my list in order here. And I'll demo how that works. But it's just like it's also going to display on the physical phone as well, the top people here. So if you had a T46U, you would have the top 8 people here would display on those extra line keys on your phone, and would actually reboot your phone every time you moved them here or added new people. So just wanted to explain that real quick. And then we have conference call, which is a bridge line conference. Go ahead.
Back up for just a second,
Sure.
because we were informed of that the possibility of doing Active Directory connections so
Okay.
that we can import user lists and that sort of thing.
Yes.
How does this ability to call for the users to add individual contacts?
Yeah, that's going to be in the contact area of the app, and I can show you that. But the head-up display is more of kind of like I'm somebody who needs to transfer and see the status of my people, and it lets me have access to transfer quickly to this list of people. So think of it as like a teacher probably wouldn't have a head-up display, but an administrator or somebody who's like in the school, who's receiving calls from parents all day and transferring them around to, say, food service and all these are like your hot people.
So
people that
there'll be separate contact lists
Yes.
for everybody in the district, but
Yeah, this is a personal.
we
Yeah,
may
this
even
is
pre-populate some of these personal items.
yeah,
on
this
some
personal
phones.
list here is meant for each person to be able to personalize up to 100 people in the list. It starts out blank, and they can add like, hey, I frequently need to dial and monitor these different people.
Yeah, and so the top 8 would be on the buttons on the phone,
Exactly. When
but
your phone's
others,
not in use,
yeah,
it reboots your phone, and you'll see it right immediately after you do that. It'll reboot your phone, and then you'll see those people you put in the top 8.
great.
That's kind of a nice way to quickly program that without having to be, a programmer. So the conference call is a bridge line conference. So it gives you like this central number to dial into, and then it gives the participant and a host access code. And you can invite people by email, so that it embeds all the email. So when they open it up, they can quickly dial into a conference call. This is for the up to 1,000 people in a conference call. So if you needed to have like an IEP type meeting with, say 3 or 4 parents and speech pathologist and, all these other people on the line at one time, you could organize a conference call in this method. So let's dive into the actual app. So I just swiped my screen over so you can see this is the MVP RingCentral application. And what I have selected over here on the left is the application called Phone. So these are all the mini applications on the navigation pane on the left that we're going to talk about today. So Phone being our primary one. Now, just to give you a quick view around the screen here, my profile happens to be up in the left-hand top of the screen. Yours may be over on the right, but it will soon be over on the left. So our profile is going to be over here on the left, I think. Is that what you see on your screens, Dana or Dawn, when you're in the MVP app?
Yeah, mine's on my left.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, we just made that change. It used to be over on the right, and now it's on the left, just to make it uniform for everybody. Now, when I click my profile name itself, you're going to see it's got the ability to view my profile. And I'm going to click that link to view it. And here's my direct dial number sitting right there. So that's my direct dial number. And then you'll see my extension is here. So for internal calls, I use the extension number, and direct dial, I use the direct dial number. I can change the avatar. If I click my profile, you'll see the little edit pencil, and I can upload my own photo or change the initials, whatever you want to see there. But I'm going to go back to my profile where I actually first clicked on it, and you're going to see something called share status. So just like Microsoft Teams, where it shows green if you're available, yellow if you've been away, and red if you're in a meeting, we have the ability here, because it's a phone application primarily, to go into a do not disturb mode. And when I click that, notice at the very top of my screen, it's red. It's like a red banner, and it says, I'm in do not disturb. And it means if a caller calls me, the call will go to voicemail automatically. That's the behavior of do not disturb. D&D sometimes it's referred to. This does not talk to your desk phone. So the desk phone do not disturb, which there is a button to do not disturb on your desk phone, and the app they're distinctly separate. They're not connected on the do not disturb, just so you know that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's talk about this list over here on the right of where we see phone. So I've selected phone, and then I get call history, voicemail, HUD, and conference. Call history, this is just a way to filter your calls so that you can see the different, either all calls, like every call that's ever come into me and gone out and I've missed. I can just filter to missed calls, shows me all the calls I missed. Now, what's nice about this is if I hover on a caller here, and then I click the little phone icon, that will let me direct dial that person right back. So if you missed a call and you need to call them right back, you just click the phone and it dials them back. That's how easy it is. Call recordings, I don't think you're going to be using, but if you want to give your users the ability to record calls while they're on a call, it's very obtrusive. And when you click it, it puts this announcement on the line and says, hey, this call is now being recorded. If you don't wish to be recorded, hang up. But if you did that, your call recording would be in here. That's why that little filter is there. And as an admin, Don and Dana, you can actually turn that feature off behind the scenes if you don't want anyone to accidentally do that, because it will scare everyone off the phone right away. It's really obtrusive. But here's the coolest part, I think, is the voicemail. So when I click voicemail, I can see I've got a list of 4 voicemails here, and I can play them audibly with the play button on the left, or on the right, I click transcript, show transcript. So I click show transcript. Here is the voicemail out in writing. So I can take that, copy it, or if I'm on another call, I can read this, like multitasking. If someone left me an urgent voicemail, just really easy. And to manage your voicemail calls, you go to the far right and you can click more, and you can download that voicemail if you wanted to. I know frequently in the school district, I used to work at one, we would, you get a voicemail left for you, but it was really meant for someone else. So you could download the message in the email or message the voicemail over to someone else in case it was intended for someone else. Or if it was just a 3-minute voicemail and it was 15 paragraphs of here, you can visually read it instead of having to listen and keep rewinding to hear what they said if it was inaudible.
Can you forward it without downloading it?
Unfortunately, you can't. So you have just these options right here, which is to, video call the person back, maybe direct dial the person back, or message the person back. But the only way to download it is here.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. You can forward a fax, but you can't forward a voicemail. Just a FYI. You can delete it here. A lot easier than going into your physical desk phone and managing your messages. I don't know if you've ever done that. I get lost in that voicemail tree. Here it's just more visual, and you can just delete the message right away. Okay, so head-up display, we talked about that you could have up to 100 numbers in here. I've got mine fairly populated because over my demo times where I show people how to use the product, mine was started out blank to begin with. I'm going to turn my D&D off just so I'm available again. I have the list here that's been growing because I hit the add extension in the top right, that little button right there. And then I get to type a name of someone I need to add here. So I'll add Keen Icing and hit add. And now they're at the top of my list. So what'll happen on my desk phone is when I'm not using it, it'll reboot it and put Keen as the first free line on after my 2 extensions, it's the third one down, it's going to put Keen. Now I can drag Keen down and drop him in an order I want to. And now my phone will reboot again when I'm not using it and put the numbers in this order here. So I would implore you to try it out and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about with your phone rebooting. Just whenever you're not using your phone, it reboots it itself. Okay. So this you can actually pop out. So if you have 2 monitors, you can actually click this little pop out and make this head-up display, kind of drag it over to say another monitor. And if your job is to kind of monitor these top people all day long, you can see them right in on your computer instead of looking over your desk phone. Or if you happen to be working at a different building for the day and you're not near your desk phone, you can have the semblance of working at your desk phone, kind of looking at this HUD here.
It is very easy. I've just added Dana and David.
Yeah, and then your phone rebooted, and then it popped
rebooted,
up.
and it's and it's
40
there.
seconds. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Perfect. So I'm going to pop that back in. So I got rid of my head-up display now. And then park locations are if you plan to allow your users to park calls on extensions that aren't theirs. So it's just we hear that in grocery stores. You walk in and they say, "Got a call waiting for the bakery on line 1." What they've done is parked a caller onto an extension that doesn't tie up their extension. And that's what a parked location is. So it allows you to free up your extension, park the caller on a central one, and then you need to let that department know, hey, I've got a caller on extension 801. They would just hit star 801 and they pick the caller up off of it. And then conference is how to make those big conference calls, right? The up to 1,000 people Bridgeline conference call. You simply click the plus symbol right next to conference. It pops open this screen just like I had in the screen in the PowerPoint. And right down here where it says invite, I click that and I can invite by text message, which is SMS. I can invite by email, which is probably the most popular way to invite by conference because it embeds everything into the email. Now it'll pop up probably your default, which is Microsoft Outlook, but don't forget to then go to your calendar and put the conference call on your calendar. And don't forget to put the details of the conference call, time and date, into the email as well. So this simply lets you say, I'm going to reserve this conference call number and this code so that everyone can join it. You just need to come up with a date and a time, and you'll put that in your Outlook invite. But it's up to 1,000 people. And it's great because people can join, they can drop off without disturbing the actual conference call itself. Okay, so now how do we make a call? So this is the meat of our application. So
Can I just ask, and you may get this on in the recordings and all, but I don't have park location under extensions on my application.
Because as I'm an administrator, and to demo this sometimes, I went back into my admin app portal and I added a park location in my admin portal. So that's why you don't see it. It's not an out-of-the-box thing pre-configured. It's something you would configure if you were going to use it.
I see. So
at the school level, I don't see this being used much. We see it like in warehouses a lot. Like if there's a call for a certain warehouse and you have like an intercom system, you can call out to the warehouse and say, hey, I've got a caller parked on this line. Then they can pick it up from any phone they have in the warehouse.
Great. So the users won't need to worry that they don't have it if they don't need
That's right. Exactly. Yep. So I'm going to go to make a call, and you'll notice that right in the center of my screen, the dial pad popped open, and it's movable. So you can see how I can pick it up and drag it around. Sometimes if you are in a call and it goes away, I'm going to show you how to get it back. So we're going to actually initiate a call here. Notice it says enter a name or number. In most business circumstances, you'd always in the past have to dial a 9 or a 1 to like get an outside line. You don't need that with Ring Central. So what you can do is just start typing a number. So I might dial 916-555-1212 and then hit return, and it will dial the number, or I can click the little return button and it will dial. The dial by name is great because if you have the contact in your list already, which all of your staff within Novato will be in this system. You'll just start typing a name and it will auto filter and come up to the top. So I'm going to call Rose. So I'm dialing Rose. It's ringing. I'm going to put it on mute so I don't get any feedback, but I'm in an active call with Rose right now. You see a timer at the top left of the screen, just counting up, saying how long I've been on the call. You see the quality of the internet connection is good and it's in high definition. So I should have a very high quality call going on right now. I see the caller ID in the center, and then these buttons are somewhat familiar to you from your cell phone, if you've ever used a cell phone. So I have mute, unmute, a dial pad in case I need to interact with like a voice response, like if I called a bank or called some other number where they told me to enter a number, this is how I could do that. And then my audio controls are on the right. I just want to show you those real quick. Any microphone you have plugged into your computer will show up in this list. As we were talking about earlier, if you had your AirPods connected to your computer, you'd be able to connect your AirPod device right here. And then your speakers, you can choose to like play on your computer speakers, or you're going to see maybe a headset or some other device in here. And I will show you in the settings where you can preset that, and then your volume control. But here's the meat. Here's how I add another caller onto this call. So I'm talking to Rose. Rose says, hey, can you add Santiago onto the call? So I click this plus button right here, which is like a impromptu conference call. Click add, and it asks me to dial a name or number. I'm going to just pick Santiago. Santiago, and immediately Rose went on hold. So she's the second one in this list, and you see a pause symbol right next to here. That means she's on hold right now. I'm actively talking to Santiago. I say, hey, Santiago, I got Rose on the line. Can we bring you in for a quick conference? He says, yes. So I click this big orange button down at the bottom, which is merged to conference call. And then all three of us are talking at that point. Okay, so that's how easy it is to bring callers on. You can add up to 9 callers on here. So you're the 10th. So you can technically have a 10-person impromptu conference call. And all you keep doing is hitting add and adding the next user. Now, if Santiago says, no, I can't talk to you right now, then I can click the hang up into call with Santiago. It brings Rose back, but she's on hold. So I take her off hold and say, hey, Rose, sorry, Santiago's busy right now. Can we do this tomorrow? And she says, sure, no problem. That's how easy it is to add a caller onto the line. Now, because I own the extension, if I were to hang up, then all the callers would have hung up. And if that's not the behavior you want, then you want to make one of those other types of conference calls, which is the bridge conference, where anyone can drop on and off the conference call. So when you're on an ad hoc conference call, you own the line. Therefore, if you hang up, everyone hangs up. So again, it's just meant for those impromptu times where you need to bring say a parent onto the line, or if it's a 2 parents, one's at work and the other one's at another work, you can bring them both on the line by calling them both. The video in the center is to switch the call to a video call. So if you need to share your screen or switch over to video, you would click this button in the center. Now, the other person needs to have RingCentral too to have this button active. So if you're talking to a parent, more than likely this button's going to be gray and you can't click it because they don't have RingCentral. Therefore, you can't switch immediately over to a video call. And then the more button has the more stuff under it, the meat. So hold, self-explanatory. That's if I click it, it puts Rose on hold, and I can take her off hold just like that. To transfer the call over to someone else, much like we did on the physical desk phone, I'm going to type in Santiago here again. Click Santiago, and notice we get 3 options at the bottom. So we can do the ask first, which is that warm transfer. We can transfer to another, like blind transfer, like just get the caller straight to the other person's line and hang up, or transfer the caller to voicemail, just like we did on the desk phone. So you have all 3 options here, the same as you did for the desk phone. And there's not much to it. Just click ask first. It'll ring Santiago. I'll explain, hey, I've got Rose on the line with this complicated IEP issue. And then I'll hit hang up for me. And then those 2 will be on the line and I've transferred the call. This just quickly transfers right to Santiago and I'm gone. And this transfers right to voicemail and I'm gone. Okay, so 3 different ways to transfer. If I go back to more, here's that record I mentioned at the very beginning. If you're going to record a call, again, something that as administrator, you're going to decide whether you want to have this available or not for your users. It's really obtrusive. And then here's how to park the call onto that parked central line, like I was describing earlier. And then call flip is something different than what you might be thinking of, Don, which is call switch. So flip allows you to flip the call from digital here on my computer to a physical desk phone. And that it puts the caller on hold. I dial my physical desk phone number, and then I can pick up the receiver and he comes off of hold onto the receiver. The switch is how you can switch from your mobile phone to your computer seamlessly without having to actually do the method where you're putting them on hold. So I just want to explain all of those. Now, I mentioned earlier, if you are on a call and you hit minimize by mistake and you're like, shoot, where did my dial pad go? You can get it right back by clicking on that rose quartz up here in the top right. That's my caller info, and the dial pad comes right back. To hang up, I click the red button, it ends the call. What I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to go to my mobile phone. I'm actually going to make a call in to show you what would happen if a call comes into my computer. So I'm dialing it now. This is what it looks like. Boom. I've got the caller ID right in the center. I can flip it right to voicemail or answer it. And when I answer, it's exactly the same as it looked like when I made an outbound call. So there's no difference. I can add a caller in here, or I can transfer the call right here. So it's got all the same controls, whether you're outbound or inbound. Okay, so that's how we make and receive phone calls. Let's switch over to talk a little bit about the messaging app we have within the application. And much like Microsoft Teams, you have the ability to directly communicate internally to each other, staff, teachers, that sort of thing. You can direct message them. And you're going to see in this menu item right here, you have favorites, you have direct message, and then down here you have teams. So each of these is collapsible. So you can collapse these so it's just a little bit neater and tidier to see. You have favorites, direct messages, and teams. So to direct message someone right away, you hit the plus symbol, you type their name in here. So I'm going to direct message Rob. I can either type my message right there or come directly here, which if it's the first time, it'll be blank. And right down at the bottom is where you're typing your message. If I could type right, going to the meeting, then I can add an emoji in here if I want to. I can add a file. The really great thing about RingCentral is there's no file limitation. So if I drag like a 2-hour video and drop it in here, it'll send that 2-hour video to whoever I'm communicating with here. I think at Microsoft Teams, it'll stop you at around 25 megabytes. And it'll say, whoa, your file's too big. And then you have to scramble and like put it on the network drive and then, or put it to Google or OneDrive and then share it that way. This way you just drag and drop it in here and boom, the file goes.
What happens if you accidentally post something, maybe some private student information or something like that?
You can delete it. Yeah.
delete
So
it?
once you send a message, so I'll send this message, for example, I can come into right here into these controls under more and delete the post and hit delete, and then boom, that message is gone. So as long as you catch it quick enough, you can delete it right away. You have some other controls in here like GIF images. You can format your text just like in Teams as well. So you can put bulleted lists. You can get really fancy with your messages is all I'm getting at. The great thing about here as well is on the right side, we call this the shelf. And so notice I have a pinned section. I have a file section and images. What this means is if I'm had an ongoing conversation with somebody, so I'll go to somebody here like, let's see, who have I been talking to? Someone of my favorites. pterodactyl. Actually, let's see, Lolita. I know I've talked with this person, Lolita, and if I click on files over here, if I had shared any files with her in this conversation chain, the file would be listed over here on the right. So what's great is if I'm in a team, so what you're going to notice down here, I have a team called Happy Panda Training, where there are 176 members. Here are all the files everyone's shared in this meeting, or this team, I should say. A little bit easier than Teams, because I used to administrate Teams, and sometimes finding files was a little bit harder because you had to dig for them a little bit deeper. And here it's just more central. It's more, it's just right in your face. And you can quickly find your files this way. If you bookmark like something in a message, like say this is a large team conversation, but this person said something really important, I can come over here and I can mark this this part of the message, the conversation, as a bookmark, so that I can come to the top left where it says bookmarks and quickly find every conversation where I put a little bookmark to quickly get back to that point in the conversation. So that's just a way to jump to things that you want to remember and go back to quickly. So messaging is pretty robust. It works just like Microsoft Teams, except when you create a team in Ring Central, you don't create channels like you do in Microsoft. So Microsoft, the complication sometimes for people is you create these channels and then people get confused as to, well, okay, what channel are you guys having a conversation in? Because there are like 20 channels in this one team. Here, they're simple. They're just names here, and there's no sub-team to these teams. So what you name it here is what people see if they belong to it. You can make them private as an administrator or public so that you can, have people add themselves to teams if they know one exists. But again, works very, very similar to how you've been using Teams. Now, video, if we switch gears and go to how do we actually create a video meeting like we're in right now during training, we see right here, we can start a instant video call just by clicking start. Now, the great thing about our video platform is the other user doesn't necessarily have to have Ring Central. So all you do is you give them a link to the meeting and they can join by a web browser without having to create an account first. So I know sometimes in the teams, getting parents to create their accounts, that can get really confusing, because then you become IT and you're trying to help these parents create their account and it gets really difficult. So here you can just hit start, and this should start a meeting in just a second here. So here's the meeting opening up. It's going to ask me about the audio controls because I'm already using my audio. So I'm going to continue without audio for demo purposes here. But down at the bottom where I see invite, I can copy the meeting link and just send it to someone, or I can hit invite by email and it'll open up Outlook and it'll have all the meeting info in there, and they just click the link and join the meeting. Just like you joined the meeting today, Don and Dana. You click my link and bam, you were in, and there wasn't much to it. Now, you have all the same controls that you do in your other types of meeting, like Teams meetings, where you can share your screen, right? So if I click share screen at this point, I can share just like I am in this meeting right now that we're in. To actually enable the annotations, I'm going to end this little impromptu one here so I can drag our meeting over to here. And then right where you see my screen over here where I'm hovering my mouse, it says you are sharing, and there's an annotation button. If I click annotation, I can annotate. And now it's like Inception here because we're seeing my mouse cursor like 50 times. But up here, I can draw like a circle around my face there, or underline chat, draw a little arrow over here and kind of call the user's attention to these different annotations. They disappear I think it's after about 9 or 10 seconds, but we're currently beta testing more features with this annotation, like to keep the annotations longer on the screen. So that's something in the works. I don't know when we'll be finished with that, but that's something that we have in the works that should be out. I don't know when, but I hope soon.
It does seem like it's very similar to both Teams and Zoom.
Yes, exactly.
There's some more features in there as well.
Yeah, and then we have the whiteboard. As you saw when I hit share, I can share a whiteboard that actually pulls up a big grid here that I can start drawing on, or we can draw on and start collaborating as a team here. So I can add a note over here, and then we can start, brainstorming on a diagram.
So I'm not able to see the whiteboard. Is it on a different monitor? I just see our three faces right now.
Yeah, if you
viewing the whiteboard or
yeah, so Dawn's on it.
Yeah, I have two monitors too, Dana, and
it opened in a separate.
It was on my main. It's open on the main monitor.
So Dana, at this moment, I'm not sure why you're not seeing it. You should be seeing it. But in essence of time, because we're kind of near the closure here, I don't want to focus too much on that. Maybe after the recording, I can help you out a little bit, Dana.
But you can see, Dana, that on the video, at least you'll be able to see that I've made some
Dawn's hovering. Yeah, Dawn's hovering around and did some squiggles and so forth. So you can collaborate and then download this graphic and, share it with your team, post it in your team messages or put it into file somewhere like that. So I'm going to hit stop. Just in essence of time here to stop that. But you'll see you have breakout rooms just like you do in Teams. Recording reactions allow users to give a thumbs up or a clap or raise their hand. And then under more, I know a lot of people ask, can I put a background in? And sure, you can. Right here under more, you can put a background so that you have you're on a beach, or you might have the school logo behind you, something like that. So a lot of different features in here, very similar to the other items that you've used. You can control your participants. For example, chatting. You can mute the chat so that people can stop chatting if it gets out of control or out of hand. A lot of times with kids, it gets that way, and the teachers need to stop the chatting. You can give control to your participants as well when you come into here, this view. If I don't want them to share a screen, I can choose that they don't share the screen here. So I have controls over here of my participants. Someone's got their microphone.
Where are those controls, Scott? I'm not.
You don't see them because you're not the presenter. Okay. Only the presenter sees them. So you should see in my shared. Oh, let me share. I'm sorry. Let me share my screen again. I'm sorry.
All right.
Hit share. You should now, see this screen. And then I'm in the participant list over here, same area where the chat is.
Great.
But because I'm the presenter, I have these extra controls at the top where I can actually choose to allow screen sharing, for example, or locking participants, preventing anyone from joining the room late, those kind of controls. Yep. So the breakout rooms are important. I know in school, when you want to break out and do little icebreakers with smaller teams and then pull everyone back in. That's where the breakout rooms are for.
And it's just you just click on the icon on the bottom, and
you click on breakout rooms, and then you'll see these rooms over here that you can create. You've got a little like I could create 4 rooms, 5 rooms, 10 rooms, and either auto assign people, or I can assign them manually.
For small group discussions, breakout
exactly.
Sessions, yeah.
Break them out and then say, hey, in 5 minutes, I'm going to pull everyone back, and you can pull them all back, clear the assignments, and pull them all back into the room, the main room.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah. Okay. So when you record a meeting, so let's say I'm going to leave, actually, I'm not going to leave this meeting, but I'm going to drag it back over here. I'm going to show you that after you've recorded a meeting, you come back in your MVP app, and after a while, after the meeting's processed, you'll come to my recordings over here. And this is really nice because now you're going to see all of the meetings you've recorded. I know in Teams, you have to dig around a bit because they save to OneDrive. They used to save to, what was it called? they had a different service that was like YouTube. And anyway, they brought it into at least Teams where you can get it in OneDrive, but here you get it right in the app, right under my recordings. And if someone shared one with you, you'll see it in shared with me. You'll see it in a list here. Now, to download it, you just hover right over here. There's a download button, and boom, it downloads directly to your computer as an MP4 file. And then again, you can just drag that if you wanted to put it into a team, or you want to put it on the network or wherever. It's just real simple to do there. Likewise, if you want to delete meetings, these will stay, I think, for at least a year in this list. But if you want to delete it earlier, you can actually come to more and delete the file right from your computer or from your MVP app. Okay, you had actually asked about contacts. Let me pop there real quick. Under contacts here, this is where you're going to see all company. So the ones that you're importing from your Active Directory, Don and Dana, you're going to see those all in this list. Notice there's a sign in with Microsoft on the far right. When you click that and you sign in, that will bring your personal contacts into your personal, into your contacts over here. Notice how you can break them out by personal, other, guest, company. So your contacts are private to you and they're not company-wide, but the ones you pull in as the master account, Don and Dana, you're going to have those come in to so everyone can see them. But then each individual can link their account and bring over their personal contacts into here. To add one is so easy. You like if I added a personal contact that might be, say my Kaiser doctor, I could come up to this little plus symbol up here, create a new contact, and add their info right in here. So real simple to do. Or if you're adding parents or something like that, people you call frequently, you would add them in here. Okay, so let me quickly show you SMS texting. If I click text, this is different than the instant messaging, right? So messaging is where we message each other back and forth inside the school district. If I click text and click this plus symbol, this is where I can text a parent or text a vendor if I need to order something, and it's physical SMS text. So I would enter the phone number here, just like 415-555-1212. And then click, I can do up to 10 numbers here, like as a group text. Click next, and then I type my message down here. I can throw an emoji in here. And then I can attach a small 1.5 megabyte file if I wanted, and then I would send the text. If I got a text message, it would show in here as a little orange button. Then I would tap on the person and I'd be able to read my text right here. And then I can reply to them. So it's SMS basic texting to phones. And then fax is e-fax, right? So it's electronic faxing. So to send a fax, I hit the plus symbol, type my fax number in, who I'm sending it to, type a note, attach any file right here, up to 50 meg. So it could be a PowerPoint, an Excel file, Word document, PDF, and our fax server converts it into a PDF so that the other recipient can actually see it. So they don't have to have Excel or PowerPoint, whatever you attach to the fax. They'll get the fax and they'll be able to read it because it'll be in PDF format. You could send it later and pick a date and a time, click schedule, and it will send at the time you schedule it for. So if you're working on the weekend, but you don't want it to go out until Monday, that's a nice feature to do. If you receive a fax, it'll come right into here and you'll be able to click on received and you'll be able to read it right here. And Dana, this is that question you were asking about the voicemail. Can you forward it? No, but you can forward a fax right here. You click forward and you can put the other fax number you're forwarding it to, like another fax machine, and forward that on to somewhere else. You can download the fax and send it in a text message or an email if you wanted to. So lots of options in here to do that. Now, in essence of time, I'm going to show you the settings. So the most frequent settings your caller or your staff will be using. So you go into settings, you're going to pick phone, and it's the very top link that says call handling. So I click edit. It brings up this window right here that allows me to have a schedule. So a work schedule and an after hours schedule. If I choose edit schedule, here's where I can put my specific work schedule in so that if a parent or somebody, staff member calls me after those hours, I can handle the call differently. So notice that in the incoming call area, it says ring in order. I can choose to ring all my devices all at once, or in order. Here I'm going to do in order because it gets chaotic if I ring everything all at one time. So desktop and mobile is my top. And then notice my Polycom phone is the second one, my physical desk phone. And you can turn these on and off. So if you happen to be working from home one day and you don't want your desk phone to ring, you can actually turn your desk phone off from ringing right here. If you wanted a third option to call your cell phone, like your personal cell phone number, you can click add number or coworker and choose number right here, and you could dial your cell phone number right here like that, so that it would ring your desktop and mobile app first, then your desk phone, and then it would switch over and ring your personal cell phone. So you have control over how that works, and you can drag these up and down in order. So if you wanted your cell phone to ring first, and then your physical desk phone and your desktop and mobile app, you can do that as well. Now, if you miss all those attempts at getting in touch with you, you can send it to voicemail, which is the default. And then you can set your voicemail up right here. It says set voicemail greeting for work hours. So I click that button. It's got a default one in there, but if I want to record my own, I click record, and I can enter my phone number, pick up my phone when it rings and record my message that way, or click microphone and hit the red microphone button and record it right from my computer. So two different ways, or you can import one if you already have a recording. Most people don't, but you could import it if you did. So that would be my voicemail for during work hours. Notice at the top of the screen, I have after hours. I could come in here and set a voicemail greeting for after hours. So it might be like, hey, you've reached me after hours. Please leave me a message. And when I get back into my office, I will give you a call then. So you can have two distinct voicemail greetings, as well as handling your calls after hours. By default, you have do not ring. Like if someone calls you either before work or after work, you say do not ring, and it would go right to voicemail. The cool part is, by default, your voicemails will send to email, and then you'll get an email telling you you have a voicemail, and it will be transcribed. So you'll be able to read your voicemail on your email, which is really great. If you happen to be on leave of absence or away for a while, you can click this forward all calls at the top of the screen, which brings this open and say, hey, I want to forward my calls to a coworker. Pick your coworker, choose your dates that you're going to be gone, click save, and notice at the top of the screen it says forwarding all calls to Pat Rose. So I'd want to let Pat Rose know, hey, I'm going to be gone for the rest of the day, and I forwarded all my calls to you. And that's how easy it is for each person to be able to do that themselves instead of calling the administrator to have them do it. If I come back early, I just switch the little switch off, and now I'm back to normal. So that's how easy it is to change your settings within RingCentral. Pretty simple to do. The other settings up here at the top left where it says notifications and audio, I mentioned when you make a voice call, you can set your microphone and your speaker to defaults, and you would do that right here. So I could say, hey, every time I make a phone call, I want to use, this microphone right here. And when I listen, I want to use these speakers right here. So it could be your headset. And then the volume right here is your default volume for all calls. So that you don't have to set these every single time you're making a call. You can have those set once, and then you can change it if you want to during the call, but you don't have to. Themes is one other common setting. Like if you like the dark theme, you can switch it to dark, high contrast for visibility issues, or just go back to the light system. So lots of different settings in here. I would encourage you to use the ones I showed you there. Now, very lastly, and I know we're short on time here, I do want to show you, again, the help. So I'm going to bring open a browser onto this blank window I have showing over here. And again, if you just go to support.ringcentral.com, up at the top of the screen is training. And here's those get started videos. So when I click get started and click on phone, for example, right up here at the top, here's how to transfer calls again. Because I showed you in the video, I didn't expect you to memorize it, but here's how you can go back and get help. Just like you teach your students, like, hey, here's how you go back and help yourself again. So when the time comes and you need to transfer a call, go watch this little video and practice with your coworkers, and then you'll get the hang of it so that when the real time comes, you'll be able to master it. And you've got all these forwarding your voicemail to email, using Call Park, and so forth. So little vignette videos. The desk phone, if you're using those desk phones, those are right here. Remember I showed you earlier that T33G or the T46U. If you happen to get new phones, you'll see them in here as well. And then lastly, you're going to see the ability to, when you're in the support site, you can ask anything right here. So if I want to know transferring calls, I could type correctly. I can click the help article and I'll get my search results here. And usually the first one on the top of the list, like Google, except it's just very specific to RingCentral questions. So lots of help at your disposal to get more help for you. That's all I had to cover today. I know we've gone a little bit over time because we started late. Are there any questions that are outstanding for you all, Dana or Don?
No, I think that was very good. I don't have any additional questions at this point. Maybe Dana does.
I don't. The only one question I had was you were talking about that we don't need to dial a 9.
Yes.
And so just Don, you and I need to make note of that because that will be a big change for all of our users. And that's
Yes,
both on the soft client and the desk phone, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
On any device using RingCentral, there's
Okay.
no need to dial that 9. On the old legacy systems, you had to dial 9 just to tell the system, like, hey, I want to place an outside call.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, if they forget and they press 9, then their call's not going to go through because their system won't know what 9 means. Like, 9 doesn't make sense to, as the first digit, unless the area code begins with 916.
Yeah. Yes. Okay.
9916. Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that on the new phones. I wasn't having to dial the 9, but I thought it was just because we hadn't transferred over the extensions yet. But
it's a convenience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we just dial the area code and the outside number and
exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it makes it easier, I think, once you break the habit of dialing the 9, which is a kind of a hard habit to break for the older people that have been there for a longer time. The new employees, it's a lot easier, right? Because they never knew the old way. So they just, click.
What about the area code, the local area code? Does that still need to be dialed?
You have to dial the area code. I don't think there are any cities available that don't use area codes anymore. I think just because the population's grown so large.
Okay, well,
okay.
Thank you very much. And will we just be getting the recording shared?
Yeah, I'll send a follow-up link probably in the morning. Once this, it's got to like decompress and then save into my folder, and then I'll compose an email in the morning and I'll drop it to both of you, to Dana and Don.
That'll be just to our email addresses. It won't automatically appear in our.
No, it won't appear in your app just because we're in separate tenants. It doesn't automatically know to share to you. Yeah.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah. And I have a link for you. If you have just one more minute at a time, I'm going to drop the link in our chat. And it's just to rate how well this class was for you, how well the overview I gave you was. And I'll just drop it right here. And that just is a quick, less than a minute survey. You click on the link, answer the questions, and look for my follow-up, Dana and Don. And thank you for taking the time out of your day to learn more about the system. I'm excited for you because this is a big change. It's going to simplify a lot of things, I hope, and make your job as administrators in IT a little bit easier because the app is really simple to use.